All right, cousins, welcome back to The Shadow Specialist. I am Tara Tales, the Shadow Specialist. I'm the one you call when you need a reality check to get your life on track. And if you've been following the channel, you know I've been uploading a chapter or two a week of my book, A Hypocrite's Diary. The reason being is because this channel is literally dedicated to helping you heal so that you can operate from your heart chakra, melting them walls around your heart chakra. And I'm specifically speaking to my women, okay? Now, this information is for everyone. It resonates with everyone because it is universal law energy. It is the divine feminine essence. It is the thing that you are looking to achieve. Love. Now, a few episodes back, I put up the Hawkins map of consciousness, right? And this is hopefully an ascension of your consciousness here on this planet, okay? Because we fell into the body, all right? Our consciousness fell to our root chakra, which grounded us to this earth, okay? And we have to gain knowledge, wisdom, understanding of first oneself, okay? Of first oneself. And the easiest way to do that is to, baby, look at everything around you and take radical responsibility for all that shit, all right? And I do mean all, the good, the bad, and everything in between. Because what you consciously think and believe in your heart, okay, is what manifests here in this reality. And if you're here, you're probably looking for ways to hear your shadow, because your shadow is developed from ages 0 to 7. Okay, that is when your foundation is laid. And if you grew up in an environment that in any way had any sort of toxicity in it, father not present, abuse, abandonment, poverty, lack of food, whatever, okay, that is trauma. We all have it in some form or another, all right? Some come in different styles. Some have a combination of a lot of them, all of them, whatever. You have trauma. We all do. This is the world of duality. If there is good in your life, there has had to be some type of bad at some point in time, all right? And my specialty is getting you to understand how your shadow was developed due to trauma, okay? Getting you to trace back your current personality traits, beliefs, and how you feel, all right? Right here, right now, and trace that back to the origin of where it started, where the trauma began, okay? In order to get you to see how you're perpetuating these same traumatic emotions and feelings in new events that keeps you in the same cycle, the same loop. And then it gets passed down generation to generation, and then it becomes a what? Generational curse. Now, if you was just on my live on Instagram, I posed the question, what is the problem? What is the number one problem in the Black community? If we had to agree all on one universal problem in the Black community, what would it be? All right. There were 3 options that, most people would say. Money being one of them. Okay. Health being another. And education. And this is all based off statistics, right? This is not me talking about your household personally. I don't know you, boo, but let's get to know each other, okay? Because we all have a lot of similarities, because this is the collective consciousness which creates the reality that we call the normal perception, okay? Now, those 3 things are very important. But the true problem of the Black community is the mentality of the Black woman. Why? I'm gonna prove it to you, okay? And we're gonna go through a tool that I developed, the shadow assessment, to help you, Black woman, and all the other women, if you have a womb, We not talking trans over here, okay? We go by the laws of nature, universal principle. See, that's how I know too that y'all not as religious that y'all think y'all are, or y'all don't really believe in that religion and that set that you claiming. At this point, I'm feeling like religion is a game. Okay, and it has caused y'all to say y'all a part of it, but you ain't operating nothing like what their laws and regulations say. But I digress. Over here, we're talking about women born with a womb. Okay, born with a womb. Listen up. The mentality of a woman is the number one problem of the Black community. That's why you are so heavily targeted. That is why I am going to show up as passionate as I am right now in my free time. My parents got my kids right now. Okay, I should be kicking up, relaxing, but I can't because I love this. I look forward to opportunities to have free time to come chit chat with you guys about how to heal them lower 3 chakras so you can get out of this pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, shame. Okay, all of these are lower chakra emotions. All right, you got pride. You too shameful to ask for help. I want to get you into courage. That's that heart chakra region. When you start having courage, you in the solar plexus, you high solar plexus going into the heart chakra. Okay, when you neutral, you really up there in that heart chakra region. Okay. As you can see, I mean this, and I mean this with my whole chest. So listen up, ladies, because you are the person that chooses the individual you have a child with. Nobody can get into this universe without you. Those with a womb, okay? You are the portal. So therefore, you are procreating with the individuals that don't even meet your standards, okay? The loose ones that y'all have. I'm not gonna go off on a tangent because I don't know how long I got before they get back. You are the person that chooses the individual you procreate with. Okay, and that individual that you procreate with, you getting their DNA. All right, so you don't even know if he got a line of people who had incest in his blood. You know, a lot of his folks, got Down syndrome. Do you even know? Do you even know his DNA makeup? No. Okay. Secondly, you have now procreated with this individual. His involvement with you and that child is going to determine 2 major things: your happiness, stability, mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically. Hopefully y'all ain't staying around folks that's putting their hands on you, but if you are, call me immediately after you call the police. Secondly, he's gonna either put you and that child in survival mode, or he's gonna cause even more trauma by not being there at all. Okay? You're choosing these individuals more often than not. The divorce rate is on an increase in the past. I've been on this earth 3.5 decades. Okay? And in the time that I have been on this earth alone, the marriage, people don't get houses no more. Everybody want to live in bi-coastal. Anyway, marriage rates, divorce particularly, marriage rates have plummeted, but divorce have skyrocketed. Why people are getting divorced? 1, no discipline. Okay, everybody's so loose, no morals, no standards. If there were no women for them to cheat with, they wouldn't cheat. Then they start cheating with the men. That is too much estrogen, trauma of their own, sexually deviant. They needed more and more physical pain to experience pleasure. When you get to a certain low level in your psychology that's attached to your sacral desires, you need more of the extremes in order to feel pleasure. Okay, that's why all of these folks be liking to get whipped and beat in order to have a come on now, women. When he choke you just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Just a little bit that make it feel, good, but you can't breathe just a little bit. Baby, now, okay, if we not mature, if we not grown over here, baby, you need to exit immediately. Okay, immediately. So you understand that little bit of choke, that's what we call being neutral in the center. All right, when you need the extreme, like damn near strangulation, you got some demons you need to work out in your solar plexus. Okay, your heart is completely shut down. All right, that's crazy. And if you got to be touched so tenderly, and you know you got all of these rules and regulations as to candle 32 candles and all, baby, you need to work on your control. You want it to be just in the middle where y'all doing a little dance and you know y'all both having just a little bit of risky fun. That is where you want to be. Neutrality. Working from your heart chakra, I need you to have the courage to be able to say, you know what, Tara, these last 3 relationships, 5 relationships, man, I done been with my man 15 plus, 20 plus years. He done had kids on me. He done did, and you still around, baby. The choices that you make for your life is going to either determine whether you are uncomfortable right now for a little bit, okay, or for a long time. All right, being uncomfortable for a little bit, you may have to leave that man, go get a second job so you can provide for yourself and your 3 kids. Versus staying in a marriage where he then starts not only cheating, but now he's beating you. So now you uncomfortable for a long period of time. Because now you done been out the job force a long period of time. So it's harder for you to get interviews, callbacks, because they really don't know, are you up to date? You get where I'm coming from? So the mentality of the Black woman is the problem with the Black community. You're choosing the person that you're procreating with, okay? That person is either sticking around and being a helping hand and doing the best that he can to co-parent, and y'all work together so this life that you brought into the world has balanced energetics, or he's causing even more trauma. And if he's causing even more trauma while you're pregnant, I myself went through 2 very traumatic pregnancies emotionally, not physically, not financially, emotionally. And guess what? It changes the DNA. When that child was born, that I was surprised even came about, she would screech when she cried. It would make you cringe. You could hear all of my pain. This has been scientifically proven. Look it up. We don't got time to do all of that right now. However, I want to move you into your heart chakra so that you have the courage to walk away. Baby, I left that man 2 months pregnant with my second child and a 1.5-year-old. You got to go. Having the courage to choose yourself made me uncomfortable for a little minute. And that little minute been a little while. Okay? But having the courage to get up here and tell you guys this, having the courage to publish this book about all of the childhood trauma that I experienced will allow you to skip ahead a few chapters of this game of life so you don't have to keep making the same mistakes. That is the reason why people pay for mentorship in all areas. I will mentor you on loving yourself, and how you cultivate that love so that you can attract the love that you truly desire. Not that shit that hurt, that feel bad. We done enough of that. This is why I've created a shadow assessment, which we're going to get into now. Because in order to change the mentality, we must identify what is wrong. Point blank, period. And the easiest way to do that, because y'all like to lie to yourself. I know. I done lied to myself too. You gonna hear all the times I done lied to myself and what it made me think and what it made me feel when I told those lies to myself, because I knew they was lies when I was telling them. But sometimes the lie could sound so good, you start believing it. Okay, but we gotta break that, because we got to change the mentality of a woman so we can start attracting more higher quality men that will put us in that soft girl era. Everybody wants it, but you're sacrificing your morals and your respect to get it. Too much ass and titties all over the internet. Not enough people at home helping their children to read and write and making sacrifices for the future. Everybody want to look like it right now. I've been put up in this house for 3 years working on my confidence. Having the courage to be neutral about my baby daddy, who has put me through things that I still haven't got an apology for and continues to try to put me through things. But I had to neutralize that energy, working purely from heart chakra, getting up, telling you. Source told me to write this book I started this book 2019 is when I believe I started this book. I wanted to write it back in 2017, but see, divine timing is real because I didn't have the knowledge of self. I hadn't even come into understanding about certain universal laws or energies yet that was very significant into creating this shadow assessment. Very, very significant. Everything happens in divine timing. Okay. When hindsight is 2020 is because, you can look back and see how all of the pieces added up. But in the moment, that shit was, life was lifing. Okay. Anyway, I had to learn certain things in order to be able to put my life story together in such a way that anybody, any woman can recreate the steps that I took in order to understand the things that I needed to change in order to heal my lower 3 chakras and operate from my heart, which has led me to create this channel here today, has led me to sacrifice hours for years. Okay, over 10 years, my life journey has been this work. This is what I have been guided to do from my intuition. This work, okay? This work because I had to do it for myself first. This is why you pay mentors, no matter whether it's for business, no matter if it's for health, no matter what it's for. You pay mentors to get the cheat code so that you can skip a few steps and miss some road bumps. We all gotta go through some shit. Now I ain't gonna hold you. I'm not gonna sit here and say, I'm gonna give you the cheat code to life. Although I am, but you're still gonna have to go through some things, as did I, in order to come into my full power of my mission. Your mission is going to be different. The lessons you're going to have to learn is going to be different than mine so that you can do something different. Okay? To help the collective, I am here to help women operate from their heart chakra by changing their mentality. This is emotions that play out based on the mentality of the individual, which then translates into personality traits and behaviors of that individual, which then magnetize the experience and the people of the mentality of the individual. You got me? Are we clear? I hope so. If not, play it back. All right. The shadow assessment. If you don't know, I'm a critical care nurse, all right? And as I go throughout my life, my experiences in my own life and what I'm experiencing in the hospital are clashing, and it's causing a lot of conflict of me wanting to stay in this profession. But until the opportunities present themselves that align with the finances to come in to sustain the lifestyle that I currently live, I had to stay a nurse, so that I can provide for myself. But I had to figure out a way mentally to make this make sense, because I understood and believe universal laws and principles. Everything is energy. Nothing is coincidence, which means everything happens for a reason. So how do I integrate modern medicine, knowing that I take no medication? I create teas and tinctures to heal myself and my babies. But yet I'm working in this hospital. I know all of this metaphysical information. I channel, but yet I'm working with these patients that are sick and I'm telling them to take this blood pressure pill or this insulin when I really want to tell them to get some cinnamon or some cayenne pepper, you know? But that ain't my job when I'm at the hospital. My job is to do what they tell me to do. And so it clashed. It made me feel like I was being a hypocrite. A hypocrite. But I'm going to teach you how to turn it around mentally so that you see everything is being done for you, i.e. the shadow assessment. So when you are a nurse, okay, when you are a nurse, we have something called a S-bar. All right, and this is how I modeled the shadow assessment. The S-bar is the situation. What is bringing you here to me today? Okay, I call this the chief complaint. When you come to a hospital, yeah, you may have diabetes, hypertension, but you here because your asthma flaring up. Okay, so the chief complaint or the situation that brought you into the hospital or the chief complaint that you have going on in your life that brought you to a holistic advisor would be, this is your chief complaint. Okay. The background. Tell me what's going on. How did you come about to be having an asthma attack? Background. What happened? Tell me what's going on. Oh, I was just out smoking some cigarettes and I was sitting on the porch and I started heaving and I'm probably dehydrated because I only drink Pepsi and coffee. Okay, so this is the background if you're in a hospital. For me, the background information is, okay, so let me know about past medical history. What chronic health conditions do you have? Chronic health conditions. Do you have, most of the time, most of my clients are somewhere between 25 and 55, okay? Most of them, somebody has had a yeast infection before or, chronically. Maybe they have BV all the time, all right? They have some type of chronic health condition. Maybe they are diabetic, right? Okay, then I asked, have there been any surgeries? Why? Why do I want to know this? Because everything is energy. And I specifically focus on the chakras. So if you had a chakra, if you had a surgery, that is going to correlate with the energy of that chakra. When you take something out of the body, this is, and now I start to understand, why certain religions, such as Jehovah's Witness and, I think Judaism, they don't allow you to take certain parts out of the dead or whatever. It makes sense because while you're alive, the body is supposed to heal itself. Okay. If you put it through so much trauma, so much different things every single day, don't give it a chance to heal. This is why people talk about fasting intermittently or doing like cleanses, because you have to give certain parts of your body time to heal so that it can rejuvenate and regenerate and heal itself. When that doesn't happen, when you're in high stress environments, when you're constantly on the go, when you don't have an option or access to better things for you, then diseases arrive. Okay. Surgeries. Parts are taken out, which means there's an energetic hole. If you think of your aura, has all of these layers, right? And you take out an organ, all right, that's why people who receive other people's organs start having remembrance of that person's life, because their DNA, their consciousness is encoded in the DNA that is present in that organ. Everything is energy. Okay, then I want to know, are there any pain points, anything that hurts you on an everyday, day-to-day basis, right? Why do I want to know that? I want to know that because if it's something that's hurting you on an every day-to-day basis, all right, maybe your asthma flares up once in a while. Okay, so that means that it's small, tiny build up until boom, now you have an asthma attack. Well, you've been having a little bit of this emotional situation, little bitty things, but nothing significant, nothing big, but a pain that you have more often than you don't. Okay, let's just put it like that. It may not be every day, but you have this pain more often than you don't. Your neck is stiff more days throughout the week than it isn't. That is something that needs to be fixed right now before it turns into something worse. It's nagging you every single day. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. In the hospital, pain is it's a late. Pain can be a later indicator of something being wrong, but it's usually one of the first. Like, fever is a later indication. Pain usually comes first. Fever, internally building, fighting off something. You may have coughed 2 times today, then 10 times tomorrow, and by the 3rd day you have a fever. That's a build up. But pain is a pay attention to me right now. So I need to know, because then we're going to look at the whole entire body, right? We're going to look at the whole entire body, everything that is going on right now. We're going to look at your chief complaint, because your chief complaint is usually related to 3 things, okay? And those 3 things are usually involving your root, money, your sacral, whatever, your relationships, and your solar plexus, your health or self-image. Okay? Your chief complaint is going to be related to one of these 3 things. It just is what it is, because these are the 3 things of the foundation of a person that must be satisfied in their life in order for them to feel fulfilled and feel like they lived a happy life. They have all the money in the world and be lonely and be overweight and have a heart attack and can't even spend the money. See what I'm saying? Okay. I ask you all of these things, and then we go through like childhood. Okay, we go through how do you feel about your parents. All of this is the background, and I ask you to rate them from 0 to 10. Rate your relationship and how you feel about that parent from 0 to 10. Now, I have never had a patient to really lie. Like, most of my patients run at the mouth. Okay, be having to run out the room. That's how you know when you're doing what you're supposed to do. I just walked in and I was me. Hi, I'm Tara. How are you? I'm good, baby. On the phone with my grandson. He go to da-da-da. Miss Betty, I ain't asked you that. But they love to run off at the mouth and tell me, things. So it really has helped me to further develop this. But I want to know how you feel about them emotionally, because no matter what they did for you, I think it might have been Oprah. Someone once said, people may forget what you did for them, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Okay, and I don't like quoting Oprah, but I think she said it, and that's a very true quote, and that's a very true statement, because you can do something nice all the time, but when you hurt someone's heart, when you hurt their feelings, they're gonna remember that. They might have forgot all the 10 times you held the door for them, but the one time you stepped on their toe, ooh, they gonna remember that. All right. I want to know how you feel about your parents. That says a lot. Then I want to know about your childhood home. Do you have siblings? Were you raised in a 2-parent household? Let me know the energy dynamics, because this is all about energy. The energy that's present in your life today. And then the background, the energy that was present in your rearing. Because I'm addressing your shadow, which is formed from 0 to 7. Okay, so I need to know background information. That's why they ask you about, past medical history, which I get into, of your mother and your father. What illnesses do they deal with on that side? All of that past medical history of parents and their side. And I want to know, what are people dying from? Okay, and what are their chronic health conditions on that side of their family? Okay, what are they really dying from? Why? Because those genes have been weakened in you. And so due to a negative low vibrational emotion that was stored in an organ, in a specific gene sequence that expresses itself as a disease, and it has been weakened in you. So I just had a shadow assessment a couple days ago, and my client mother had been on drugs, right, for seems like most of her life, okay? And her drug of choice was a stimulant. When I asked her, the question is, this is how I phrase this question, because people don't like when you use the word addictions. I asked about any addictions that you have in your past medical history, any addictions. And this is how I phrase it when I asked the question during the shadow assessment, because what I found, if I just straight up said addictions, oh, nothing. Okay, but an addict that's addicted to drugs can't go 3 days without it. They probably can't even go 2. The first day they may be able to muster up some willpower because they want to quit, right? But that second day, they start itching. 3 days, they not going 3 days without it if they not committed and ready to quit. That third day, they need it. Physically, some may need it, like, DT withdrawals on alcohol. Like, by the third day of that, they're in the hospital withdrawing. They going through it. We giving them Ativan all the time. Okay? Now, so when I get to the addiction question of the assessment, I say, what is something that you struggle to go 72 hours without? Right? Well, for this client, she said coffee. Coffee was one of the things that she struggled to go without. So I put that down on addiction. And I'll tell you why when we go throughout the assessment, okay? So back to the chronic conditions of the parents and the people on the parent side. Now, you need to have knowledge of what was on your parent's side so that you know what you have the high propensity to develop. Now, this person in particular, although she was not a crack addict, okay, she had an affinity to overindulge in addictive behaviors of a stimulant. Coffee. Okay, so this is how your shadow expresses itself, and when you know it, you understand things to avoid. Okay, things to avoid. So when you're going through high stress, all right, when you're going through high stress situations, you're going to avoid overindulging in coffee, because guess what? Coffee is just a gateway to your mentality saying, fuck it, I'm going to just get something else that I know I shouldn't have. Okay, so now you're overindulging in multiple things that is not beneficial to wherever you're trying to get to in life. Okay, what my mom would have called it back in the day was a gateway drug. Okay, so you would want to shy away, and that is a part of what I would tell her in my recommendations. Okay, that's what I would tell her, because R stands for recommendations. Since I pointed to it, might as well write it. Recommendations. All right, something like that. And the A is for assessment. All right, now, then I go down, I do ask about whether or not you're dating, if you smoke or drink, how much you weigh, because I want to, and then not just how much you weigh. If I had a magic wand, how much would you weigh tomorrow? Because a lot of people are hesitant on being honest at the fact that they don't like how they look. Nobody wants to sit up and say, I'm insecure about how I look and my weight. Nobody will be the first person to really raise their hand and say that. It's just not going to happen. So, but you do have an ideal weight in your mind. Ooh, I'm going to be banging when I hit. Okay, ladies, what weight is that? Because that's the weight of the individual who has the mentality that you have not yet reached. All right. And if you truly want to be that elevated version of yourself, you have to heal and identify and address all of the areas that you don't like in all three of your lower chakras before you can even start talking about your heart. Because you haven't really heard your heart speak in a while. Okay. And we're going to talk about that. And I know because your intuition, is low. Because the discernment of women is low. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so many single parents and it wouldn't be so many households, without a daddy. Just point blank, period. That's why we fixing the mentality of a woman, particularly Black women. Okay. We got to get to the root cause of the ideal weight. Even the number that the ideal weight, the difference between those two tells me something about the shadow, okay? And then I want to know if you're dating, if you have any allergies. Because if you have allergies, guess what? It's because of a blockage, because of something that's going on. But we'll talk about that too. Then I asked you to, literally rate your stability of these three chakras. And I say it in a way, just in case you're not, completely clear on what a chakra is. I say, okay, rate from 0 to 5 your economic stability. Sacral chakra. Rate from 0 to 5 your creativity and relationships. Solar plexus. Rate from 0 to 5 your health and self-image. All right? Because I want to know consciously how accurately are you assessing yourself? Because my goal is to teach you my blueprint so that you can assess yourself, so that you can figure out what's wrong with yourself. Because, baby, I don't want to take calls for the rest of my life telling people what's wrong with their shadow. I want you to be able to do it for yourself. Okay? All right. After we've talked about your background, your pain point surgeries, your mama, your daddy. Okay, then we move into the assessment. This is the part of the reading that you get as a recording, okay? And I then assess all of these areas of your life using 4 elements, okay? Anatomy, duh. I'm a nurse. This is where me realizing that I could use my metaphysical, because metaphysical means beyond the physical. So I can use my knowledge of what's beyond the physical to help show you what your spirit is trying to get across to you by pointing out everything that's going on in the physical that you told me now. Okay, I ain't pretending that this is a psychic reading. This is not a psychic reading that I offer. Okay, you will hear that I channel because it comes through in the assessment. But this overall is meant to be an assessment of your energy from your perspective. But you don't even know that. You may know it now because you're watching this video, but you don't really know how I'm going to break down how your body is trying to get across these simple emotions that you are unaware of how to analyze. Okay, so I use anatomy. Anatomy is the first modality. Then I use astrology. For all of those out there that say, oh, astrology ain't real, then stop telling me what time the sun rises. Why does it matter? The sun is a planet right up there along with all of those other planets in the solar system. And if one planet, remember, everything is energy. So if the sun has an effect on our environment, the energy within us, our environment, then these other planets that control the energies within us and different zodiacal signs, they matter too. So whether you want to believe it or not, it doesn't matter. You don't have to believe it for it to be true. It can be true and you not believe it, and it doesn't matter because it's still true. So astrology, I use astrology to help you understand what your body is saying. How do I use astrology to help you understand what your body is saying? I'm going to put a picture in this video once I upload it that shows the body. And every single part of the body is correlated to a different emotion. How do they know that? Okay, go and Google it. Once again, I don't have time to tell you everything in one video. You got to stick around a while. I'll explain it in another video how they were able to test these emotions and the body. I'll tell you on another video, okay? Now, I use astrology. Then I use numerology. Okay? Numerology. 3. I use 4 different modalities. What is a modality? A method, a system. Numerology. If I can't spell, oh well. Okay, why do I use numerology? Everybody loves to say, money don't lie, people do. Okay, cool, great, love that. Because guess what? Numerology is the study of numbers, and sacred geometry, you know, has numbers that correlate to the universe and energy. Like everything has energy. Even things you can't see. Air is an energy. Tell me you don't believe in air. I bet if they put you in a place that had none, you would believe in it. Okay, so numbers are in everything, all right? Even the weight of this pen. Everything has a mass. And in order to quantify that mass, we have numbers, all right? Even your thoughts. Your thoughts have mass. It has a weight. Have you ever heard the term or the cliche, my thoughts are weighing me down? Yeah, have you ever heard that? Okay. Then I use, the last one is symbology. Why? Oh, I love symbology. Because symbolism, symbology, the study of symbols. I use symbolism, not symbology. I use symbolism. Because somebody's going to correct me in the comments, and it's okay. I use symbolism because those archetypes, your mother and your father, those are the people that raised you or not. But those are the people that created you. And inherently, no matter how much you try to tell yourself otherwise, consciously, you want their love, their approval, their involvement in your life. And even if you don't, like, on some level, you want to know why they did whatever they did that hurt you, why they made the choice that put you in whatever situation. You want answers, because those are people that created you and brought you into this world. The deeper you go on that rabbit hole, you will then get to understand how not only were they going through their own trauma, they did the best they could. The best gift sometimes your parent gave you was life. Sometimes they could be such a fucked up individual because you were supposed to experience a level of trauma that was supposed to wake you the fuck up. But your ancestry, maybe your bloodline, have been asleep for so long, you're having a hard time. But congratulations, cousin. Because the fact that you found my video, or that my video found you, means you're ready. You're ready to figure out more of you. Okay? Now, symbolism. The archetype of your mother and father are the first examples of love, the highest vibration that you're looking to obtain on your road to enlightenment. The highest vibration you're looking to obtain operating from your heart chakra. I need love. Everyone wants it. Is no lie. Is no reason to lie about wanting love. Everybody wants to feel loved, special, appreciated by somebody. They just do. Why not? Do you want people to walk around hating you all day? What is wrong with you? Book a call immediately. Okay? whatever they sent you through in your specific situation caused certain levels of these different chakras to be shut down, unbalanced, and that cycle is repeating itself in your daily experiences relating to these different areas: your money, your relationships, and your health, mental or emotional or physical health, all health. Okay, so get into the root cause, identifying what emotions those people had a part to play, because I use your parents. There's a zodiacal sign because it's significant. I explain why it's significant in the reading. There's a zodiacal sign. They're ranking based on your own testimony. Okay, they're ranking in your emotional life, your emotional awareness, where they rank at. I also look at what are they personally facing, like health wise, because whatever they're personally facing health wise lets me know what they are suppressing and how it's showing up in you. Because remember the example earlier of the client whose mother was addicted to a stimulant, crack, and she had an addiction, okay, to coffee, another stimulant. That is how epigenetics expresses itself. Okay, when you're talking about generational curses, we're not always talking about everybody, somebody, baby mama. What about the wealthy people? Maybe they've been wealthy for so long that now you have come along and you have a shopping addiction, and your husband is not as wealthy as you're used to being. So now you have put y'all in the poorhouse because you have a wealthy complex. You're used to being wealthy, a certain level of wealth that's in your DNA, that you have this unrealistic desire for your husband to maintain or keep up with the shopping addiction, right? All of these play out, these different scenarios of your shadow play out differently in everybody based off of their upbringing, and their current situation is a key indicator to what they have not healed from their upbringing. So this is why I created the shadow assessment to help you stop buying into the lies of your own bullshit, pretty much. Because you have become, who is that? The actor from golly, her name's on the tip of my tongue. The no. The loudmouth, golly, what's her name? That's crazy. Okay, y'all know who I'm talking about from Fresh Prince. All right, the loudmouth aunt. She said, you sit in shit too long, it stops stinking. Whoa, that was, baby, that's a cliche for the books. Please get a notebook of cliches, because I'm going to give you some, okay? If you sit in shit long enough, it stops stinking. Why? Because you become immune to the smell of shit. It didn't stop stinking. It just stopped stinking to you. And the mentality of women has declined so drastically that what you expect is now normal. But the new normal is so low on the totem pole of where your expectancy should be that the environment has gone haywire. So we must elevate the mind, the mentality of the Black woman so that she raises healthier children with less genetic dysfunctions, blueprints, releasing all of that shit, attracting a man with less dysfunction and genetic imprints so that they have a healthier balance for their upbringing. Because remember, the root chakra is where the shadow is developed. So do you want your child's shadow to be developed with scarcity, lack, survival mode, anger, yelling all the time, cussing at them, making them feel less than? That's what you're programming into their subconscious when you do that. That is what you're doing. But the more healthier your mentality, the healthier the physical stability of your child, the genetic imprint of your child, the emotional stability of that child, so that the foundation is strong. Because how can you have a balanced chakra system if the foundation is weak and full of holes, full of cracks that have become so normal? We know we desensitized in this American society. We know it. But anyway, I love y'all endlessly. Till next time. Peace.